brother. There are more.
Hey dude, are you ready to do this?
Inviter meg her og servere te nå, hva i alle dager det?
Hva du snakker om? Må du slutte å syde? Her er en av teen din.
How did you learn my language?
I listened. Very nice.
Pretty good.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Vagabond Arashikage channel, and Happy New Year! So, we are back with another video. I brought my brother Ash with me.
Yo.
And today we are going to talk about this really awesome, epic Viking movie that is out in the theaters near you right now.
I think you may be mistaken.
Aren't we in 98 right now?
This came out in 99.
I slept too long. 99, sorry, 99.
You might have slept for 25 years.
Oh, we're 23, 24.
Correct.
Okay, so if you are in 2024, get a time machine, go watch this movie, or just get hold of it. If you are in 1999, definitely go to the movies. Anyway, so we are going to talk about a really cool movie from 99, The 13th Warrior.
Wait, what? I thought we were reviewing Beowulf.
It's also known as Eaters of the Dead.
Wow.
We'll get back to that. Okay, Hash, The 13th Warrior. What is this movie about?
A quick recap. It's basically an Arab who meets a gang of Vikings, and they get a message from back home where the village back home is basically being terrorized by this creature that must not be mentioned.
Is it Voldemort?
No,
Oh.
it is not.
Okay.
This was before Voldemort.
All right.
Anyway, so they scramble a team and go back and save the village, basically.
Yeah.
That's a very short synopsis.
Yeah. That's correct. Okay, so who do we have in this movie?
We've got in the lead Antonio Banderas playing the Arab,
Mm-hmm.
and you have Vladimir Kulich playing the Beowulf character, who's the leader of the group.
And he was also the leader of the mafia in Equalizer, Pushkin. Yeah.
And also the Viking King rebellion leader in Skyrim, which is a very similar character to this one.
All right. Who else?
And then you have Dennis Storhøi, who plays probably the coolest character in the movie, the comic relief warrior.
The Bard.
Yeah, the joyous.
And he was in...
Camilla og Tyven. A movie from my childhood. I think it might even be from before my childhood.
Probably.
Yeah.
And we also have Omar Sharif. That's the people, the actors that I recognize.
Yeah,
least.
and you may know Omar Sharif from Lawrence of Arabia.
Mm-hmm. And the director of this movie is John McTiernan. And John McTiernan, he directed Die Hard and
Die Hard 3.
Die Hard 3, Predator,
And The Last Action Hero.
and The Last Action Hero. Yeah, so this is a director who knows action.
Definitely.
Okay, before we just continue, just a simple question. Did you like the movie?
Oh yeah, still love it.
Me too. Okay. All right. So, where do you want to start?
Let's just start with the story.
Okay.
Like, proper summary.
Yeah. We mentioned Beowulf and Eaters of the Dead, so let's just address that properly. So this is a retelling of the old epic saga story poem thing.
Yeah, epic poems.
epic poem of Beowulf. And yeah, so there's been other versions of this story on film. We have Beowulf from 1998 with Christopher Lambert. This is kind of like Beowulf meets Mortal Kombat. I watched this in 98. This is the old VHS tape. Actually, this is also the VHS tape, and I watched this movie when it came out in the movies. You watched this exact
copy, which you brought home.
Yeah. And we also have Beowulf from, when was this, 2005-06. This is a really good retelling of that story.
I am Beowulf!
Tell us more about the connection to Beowulf.
So basically, you have Michael Crichton, who wrote Eaters of the Dead.
The book.
The book. He read the epic poems, and he was like, I can do better. He wanted to make his own vision or his own version of it. So he wrote Eaters of the Dead.
With more violence and blackjack. Except for the blackjack.
Yeah, more violence and gore.
Yeah.
And more realistic, to be honest. Because let's do a quick synopsis of the Beowulf story. It's basically a troll, half human kind of thing, terrorizing this village. And King Hrothgar, same king as here actually, has the same name, sends message to Beowulf to come with his warriors and
try to
save them.
But Beowulf in these ones, he's kind of a supernatural being himself. He's very strong, and he's like, he's almost like a superhero.
Yeah, he fights the Grendel, this creature, unarmed and without armor.
So what is this, Rash?
So this is a monster club I used to be in. Every month they would send me like this many leaflets like this. Most of them being real creatures that exist, but you also had the fantasy section, so about 1/6 would be...
You have blood and gore here.
Yeah.
This is for kids?
Yeah, I was 10 years old and you had the blood and gore, but mind you, he's not naked like the original story.
Yeah. He fights the Grendel naked because he wants to fight him on even ground. So he didn't want to wear armor.
But this is actually kind of common among Vikings, but that's a different...
Fight naked.
Yeah, they did that.
All right. Sure. Okay. So that's the connection to Beowulf and the book Eaters of the Dead by Michael Crichton. And Michael Crichton also wrote some other cool books that have all been like turned into movies. We have Jurassic Park and Westworld.
Yeah, and this isn't all that long after Jurassic Park, to be honest.
Okay.
So it was probably at his, I don't know, hype or top.
Yeah. And Michael Crichton was also involved heavily in the production of this movie. We'll get back to that in a bit. But it's not just based on Beowulf.
No, because you have the protagonist. So what's very different with this story, it's told from the perspective of Ahmed Ibn.
I am Ahmed Ibn Fadlan, Ibn al-Abbas, Ibn Rashid. Ibn. No, listen. Ahmed Ibn Fadlan. Ibn means son of.
Ibn.
Who is a poet and a writer. And he is actually based on the actual Ahmed Ibn...
I don't remember the last name.
Yeah.
Like a famous real-life poet.
Real-life poet, who was also an Arab.
Wanneer den vreemde? Araber from Baghdad.
So, Crichton has taken actual elements from the real world and put them in here.
Mm-hmm. And that is interesting. Because that gives also the story a very different feel. Let's talk about the characters. Since you're on the characters, let's just mention all the relevant characters.
Right. So Ahmed Ibn is in a lot of ways a protagonist, but really not, because he's telling this story more or less.
He's the observant, but he's also like our connection to the story as an audience.
Yeah, because he's the fish out of water.
Mm.
He's been thrown into this. Basically, a witch throws a bunch of bones and says that the 13th warrior has to be an outsider, not a Viking.
So yeah, as she's throwing these bones, all the Vikings are like, "I'll join and I'll come with you guys." And
Hvem skal bli den første?
Hvem vil være den første mand? Jeg ved det første mand.
Hvem skal bli den fjerde mannen?
Det går! En fjerde mand!
11. mann!
Var fan fjerde 11. mann? Send over fyra!
then the 13th one is a different kind of bone. It's a black bone, and she's like, it has to be an outsider. And then we have Ahmed Ibn and the other Arab played by Omar Sharif, and he's like, well, you have to sign up. I'm not doing this. I'm too old for this shit. So Antonio Banderas ends up joining the Vikings on their quest.
Resten må ikke være en fra nord!
Nummer 13 må ikke være en fra nord. Araberen. Vi må sende araberen.
Tertius decimus homo septemtrium non skit. She says the 13th man must be no Northman.
The hell are you saying?
The 13th warrior is you.
And you are more or less introduced to this world through him. Him being the more civil and educated and trying to adjust and adapt to their culture.
And learns their language.
Learns their language rather
Just by
quickly.
listening.
He says, do not foretell me wife, for I will get no supper when I come home tonight.
Where did you learn our language?
I listened.
Yeah, that's the one scene that always kind of seemed a little bit silly to me. Like, we don't know how long they had been traveling together.
Probably for a very long time.
But it didn't seem they were interacting with him all that much. It didn't seem they were trying to teach him their language. But he was just like sitting like, oh yeah, now I know the language. That scene is a bit funny. But sure, why not? It's a movie and it's not supposed to be all that realistic.
Even babies won't learn without interaction.
Yeah, so you need actual communication to learn a language most of the time. But anyway, what is cool about that is, as you said, like he's the main character, but at the same time, Beowulf is the main hero of the story.
Definitely. He basically saves the day in the end.
He's a classic hero.
Yeah, in both occasions. He is the leader. He is always in charge. And even when the one incident where the Antonio Banderas character disagrees with him, Beowulf was the one who was right.
He's a very experienced leader and very tough warrior.
And all the men respect him.
So that's the two main characters. Who else do we have in the story? We have the Bard.
The Bard, as you call him. Haligo or something is his name.
The Joyous.
The Joyous. So he is, as my brother here said, the Bard character. He's covering all of his actions with some humor and stuff. But he is actually also probably the toughest warrior they have, both using a bow and a sword and a shield.
But he is kind of like he is almost just like a bard, because he also is not just charismatic and funny for the audience, but he also adds like good morale and humor within the group.
I cannot lift this.
Grow stronger. You dig like a dog.
Did you call me a dog?
I said you dig like one, flinging earth carelessly like an animal.
So now I'm an animal.
You're not listening.
And deaf?
What happened?
An engineering dispute?
You notice he's bigger than you.
Yes.
And younger.
Yes. Bet on him if you like.
And he also bluffs.
Yeah. That's true. Just like someone of that character type would do. The fight scene, the duel scene with him is the one scene I remember. Like, we watched this recently, and I hadn't watched it since way back when and that one scene always stood out. That's just this really cool fight scene.
One of the best, definitely. And it keeps you under suspense throughout the whole fight. And you're actually buying his bluff throughout that fight.
Yeah, and he is a very good character. Who else do we have?
We also have this one character, which I absolutely love, but you don't really see him all that much. He just appears out of nowhere.
The ninja.
The ninja, he's a scout, basically, or a ranger. And he's like, there's going to be mist tonight, so they're coming.
Perfume.
Or he's going to be like hiding
there.
Yeah, hiding in a tree. They go to the watchtower to find him, and he's aiming his bow at the watchtower. And it's like, yeah, the enemies would do the same.
To the right, the ridge near the watchtower. And to the south, the edge of the trees near the first ridge line.
He's a tracker. He's like a very competent person to have within your warrior posse.
He knows how to... His nickname is the Silent. He knows how to sneak and hide. He knows where to find a bear and how to hunt the bear.
Is that him who says, take off your armor and when they go to the cave so they don't make noise? Like, that's also kind of cool with this movie is it is very realistic.
But he doesn't say it. He
just
like this.
He doesn't say it even. That's true. There's some really cool details in how this group operates and how well accustomed they are to each other. They are a very competent group who you can like tell just by watching the movie that they have been on a lot of missions together.
Definitely.
Okay, and we also have Omar Sharif's character.
Briefly.
In
the beginning. He's some sort of an interpreter who works for Ahmed Ibn.
Yeah, it would have made more sense that he would have learned the language faster.
So to some extent, you could say that it wasn't necessary to have the Omar Sharif character in the movie and just have...
But it wouldn't make sense that he was traveling all by himself.
No, you could have some other people but that Antonio Banderas knew all the languages, and that's how it was easy for him to learn another language, because he would just connect all the dots between the languages he knows.
Well, it makes for a funny scene.
Yeah, it makes for a funny scene.
Hegemona humerito, Basilea humetero.
Noster Rex, Tabernacolo.
He says their king is out there in that tent.
Non loquator.
He says the king will not speak to us.
Non loquator, qui immortus est.
Apparently the king won't speak to us because he's dead.
So, to begin with, Ahmed learns the language, and that intrigues Beowulf. And he's like,
I am Beowulf.
He doesn't do that. He basically says to Ahmed, you know how to... What does he call it?
Make noises in
the
text
sand,
or something.
Yeah.
In sand, yeah.
You can draw sounds.
And Ahmed understands what he means, so he starts writing some Arabic. And after crossing the ocean and traveling for God knows how long, Beowulf copies that or mimics that. He probably doesn't understand what he's writing, but he basically memorized it, which shows a lot of... shows a sign of intelligence in the Beowulf character. And they're kind of playing off of each other with their
And that's
smarts.
really cool how the movie does that, because he teaches them some things. He learns a lot from the group. And in the beginning, he's, as you say, like a fish out of water, and he doesn't understand their ways and their mentality. But throughout the movie, he has a lot of character development, and by the end of the movie, he's kind of just one of them.
Yeah, he's the one who thinks outside the box. That's his role by the end of the movie. He's the one who can think of different things than what the group is used to, but he does have a position in the group, and they do respect him.
They learn to respect him more and more throughout the movie. In the beginning, they don't.
Don't step in front of me.
But it's really cool how that develops, that relationship between him and the group. Yeah, so what do you want to continue on? The production?
Should we? Sure, let's go.
Yeah. Okay, you can start.
So this movie was meant to come out in 1998.
That's what I said in the beginning.
Yeah, basically. But because of production hell, it didn't come out. Crichton and John McTiernan, they were fighting over everything. They couldn't agree upon anything because McTiernan wanted it his way and Crichton wanted it his way. So they started reshooting everything. So they would go up to the actor and say like, "Yeah, we're going to do that scene again, but do it like this." And then the other guy would go up to the actor and say the same, but do it his way.
Yeah, so you had several scenes shot both Crichton in, like, you had Crichton's vision and McTiernan's vision, and the actors didn't know what the end result would be. It was a huge mess, and that delayed the release of the movie until 1999.
And they also had incidents like Dennis Storhøi almost drowned. Antonio Banderas dragged him out of the water. So there's this underwater scene, and Dennis got stuck. So Antonio Banderas had to pull him out.
That's pretty messed up. Yeah, but because this movie came out in 1999, I mean, it's not just that. It's also that at first they wanted a PG-13 movie because this is a Touchstone production, and that was kind of it's a Disney production, basically. And at first they were thinking of a PG-13 rating, but then they realized like that's just silly because the audience would probably be more mature. So they went like a 180 on that and added lots of gore and violence, and they went for R rating.
Definitely. This movie is without a doubt an R-rated movie, even though I watched it as a kid and it didn't really bother me.
It's the last act that has lots of violence.
Yeah.
But also, what is this movie? Is it a Viking adventure movie? Is it a horror movie?
Or is it fantasy?
It's a fantasy. It's a strange mix of genres, and I think they probably struggled a little bit on how they wanted to promote it, like because the first trailers were more like it looked like a horror movie. Then it looks more like an action movie.
He was fortunate to have the love of the most beautiful woman in the kingdom. Unfortunately, she was the king's wife. Now, one man...
Tell them I am no warrior.
...who has never known courage...
Of that they are aware.
...will join 12 warriors...
I cannot lift this.
Grow stronger.
...who have never known fear.
Let's go, little brother. I do not enjoy heights.
And become something he never dreamed possible.
Prepare yourself.
One of them.
And yeah, it came out in 1999, and it came out the same weekend as The Sixth Sense. And it's kind of interesting. When I watched this in the cinema, it was during this event at the cinema where they showed a lot of movies during the whole weekend. You could like watch movies throughout the night. So we watched like a movie at midnight, and then we watched the next movie at like 3 a.m, and then the next movie would be like 5. So it was like, I think it was 24 hours or more where you were like we were running from one movie to the next. And the last movie I think we watched was The Sixth Sense, and this was somewhere in
between.
Yeah, we watched 12 movies that day, I think. Yeah, and it obviously, because of 99 being a year where you had a lot of good movies, and because it came out at the same time as The Sixth Sense, that affected how well this did.
just to draw a picture here, 2 other movies from the same year is The Matrix and Fight Club.
Yeah, exactly. And it didn't do that well. So it kind of flopped.
Yeah, and McTiernan had also gone way over budget.
The original budget for the movie was $100 million. And he hit like 160.
Yeah.
And when it came out, it worldwide cashed in around 60 million. So that's not good. But then over time, this movie, when it came out on VHS, it got more recognition and it did better. And over the years, it's got like a cult following. And it's a very underrated movie. It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
I mean, out of these 3, if you're just thinking of a Beowulf story, I mean, this is the most true Beowulf story.
I am Beowulf!
But if I was just going to say which of these movies I like the most, it would be this one. Yeah. All right, so I think that covers most of the stuff when it comes to production. And yeah, one more thing, actually. Omar Sharif hated this movie. He thought the script was terrible, and he quit acting for a while after this. So he was traumatized by this movie.
But on the other hand, Crichton, who was in on the bickering and fighting, liked the end result.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know.
It's a very cool movie, and because it is a bit different, all that stuff just adds to the unique feel this movie has. It has great atmosphere, great effects, probably because they went so much over budget. It has really good action scenes, good costumes. So effects and music. Let's talk about that.
So the effects don't look dated at all, and it's because it's all practical. The blood looks real. When he hits that chieftain in the end, looks so good. All the fights look amazing, and the music is just grand, epic. It'll give you a Lord of the Rings feel, to be honest.
Absolutely.
And I won't lie, I put it on every now and then and just listen to it at work.
Yeah, it's really good. Very good soundtrack. And yeah, it's just amazing. It holds up still.
Yeah.
I think you can even probably enjoy this more now. You don't have all that many movies like this anymore.
Where everything's practical.
Yeah, and just how many cool Viking movies do you have? Like you have the weird one with Mads Mikkelsen, Valhalla Rising.
I haven't seen that.
I love the first half of that, but then it becomes, it totally turns into an acid trip. You have The Northman. Which is really good, but outside of those 2 movies, I would say this is probably among the best Viking movies out there.
You have the Viking series, but
yeah, but if you're thinking of just movies,
you have. Didn't you have this Viking version of Vejviseren? It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was really
bad. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, you shouldn't watch it.
All right, but yeah, it's a good movie. And yeah.
Is there anything we haven't covered so far? We could. There is something. Some of the direct references. So you have the Vendel and Grendel. I mentioned that. You have a dragon here.
In the story, you have a dragon.
And you have a fire serpent here.
They address it.
They
also address the witch.
And you have a witch here, and you have the mother here.
We're not going to go all into spoilers, but they really... It's a very smart way how they kind of address all the story elements of the Beowulf saga.
And, you know, the first fight here, where Beowulf rips off the arm of the Grendel, they all have a party and then they go to sleep in the barn, but they're all sleeping with one eye open. Same scene is here. So there's a lot of direct references.
And it's kind of funny, the first time I watched this one, as I said, I had only watched this one, and this came out 1 year before, so I didn't catch up on this being the story of Beowulf. Yeah, I could not, see that this was the same story, but, if I had watched this movie, I would definitely be able to connect the dots.
Well, let me ask you a different question. if this wasn't called Beowulf and you watched this, would you catch on these two are the same?
Yeah, I think I would. I think I would. But this is a very silly, fun action movie as well. But on that, how would you rate this?
Okay, so excellent action, excellent effects, and excellent music. Where it lacks is that it's not a flawless movie. I mean, it's a cool story, but it's not performed perfectly. Like this, I would say it lacks a bit on the not on the story itself, but just how it was performed, like the end result.
Mm-hmm.
So I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. But when it comes to pure just enjoyment and rewatchability, I would go as far as 9, somewhere between 8 and 9.
Mm. I agree. It's not a perfect movie, and for me, it's just very specific things that kind of hinders it from being great. One is, I'll try not to spoil anything, but like some of the villains or the people there or the threat, some of that aspect could have been built up better. When it's certain enemies they're trying to find and fight, it comes a little bit out of nowhere, some of it. If you've watched the movie, you probably know what I'm talking about, like that final act. But outside of that, I really love this. I wouldn't mind if the last act was longer and you had more build up towards that. That you had maybe met some of the villains before they actually go and fight them.
But then again, that is a part of the mystique.
And it's also the way the movie is presented. You just know what the group knows. So it kind of makes sense, but still, some things were just like, oh yeah, okay.
You're actually not in a single scene without Antonio Banderas being there.
Yeah, true. So that it makes sense. But yeah, I would also give this like a 7.5 out of 10. All right.
But a pure.
Yeah, it's really enjoyable. It has lots of great action scenes. It's a really fun movie to watch, and you can watch this again and again. And there are a lot of, as I said before, like the story is presented in a clever way. So when you watch this again, you might notice things that you didn't catch up on the first time you watched it. Among them, how this group operates together.
One thing I never noticed, and I've watched this several times. My brother here commented that the Arab, he leads with a sword, and he has a different fighting style, and that was common among royals or higher positioned people.
Because you just thought he wasn't competent with swords.
Yeah.
It's not that he's not competent with a sword, it's that he doesn't know how to fight with a broadsword. But when he gets his type of weapon, he's very good with that.
When you die, can I give that to my daughter?
A lot of details, and they don't spoon feed you, and you have to kind of think of, like, you have to connect the dots yourself. I think we're done.
Yeah.
All right. Have you watched this movie? Did you like it? Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching and stopping by. We'll catch you in a different episode very soon.
Skål.
Skål.
Next episode's going to be in 2024, right?
99.
Okay.
We're going back.
Shit.
Now I feel we have to review Class of 99. Which didn't come out in 99. We'll see.